And today on the channel we have Deja Vu times 2. When we look at these two little guys, the Decepticon Siege Sports Car Patrol in the latest GotBot True review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your humble host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, that's right, please hit the notification bell. It'll let you know when content of all sorts go up. We're just coming off of episode 2 of season 2 of Universal Collision. I have a couple of ideas of things that I want to do, but of course we have some reviews that we have to get out of the way. Check out Machinery of Man, Transformers, Collectors, NL, the Everything Factor, and the Autobot family. Wow, I really sort of messed that up. But let's move on to what we have to give our attention to right now, and it's these little guys. And I said Deja Vu times 2. First things first, this is a reuse, slight remold, although some packs don't even have the remolded aspects, of the Wave 1 Road Handler and Swindler. They were Autobots. This time they're Decepticons, with the Swindler mold being used for Blackjack and the Road Handler mold being used for Hyperdrive. And I said that the Swindler mold was the worst mold of 2018 and should never be used. Do I feel as harshly against the mold this time around with this guy? Well, we'll see in just a little bit. This is also a Deja Vu because we recently looked at the G1 versions of these guys, and we're going to kind of compare these guys to their G1 versions coming up. But you know what? Enough of me babbling on about it. Let's see how these guys measure up, not only to the G1 versions, but to the earlier uses of these molds. They got a lot to live up to when we head over to the table and take a closer look at them. And I understand if you feel like you're having deja vu a little bit, because didn't we just look at the Sports Car Patrol? And indeed we did. It was the G1 version, and this is the new Wave 3 Siege version. And right away you will probably notice a couple of things different this time around. First, we have packaging. Inside that packaging there's instructions. I'm not going to bother to show the instructions this time around because do we really need them here? And we only have 2 out of 4 members. So let's begin with the packaging first and just get that out of the way real quickly. And here we have beautiful Siege packaging. It has both of these Decepticon Micromasters in their alternate modes. On the back we have your kind of typical product images. Nothing super duper special, although I will say this. Down here you see their combined mode being wielded by Refractor, or Reflector if you will. That wave of deluxes has not come to my area as of this recording. Fingers crossed that they show up sooner rather than later. And here we have the clever Blackjack and his partner in crime, if you will. The troublemaker, the overall kind of jerk of the team, the not nice guy in Hyperdrive. He's not a nice guy, man. He's just not a nice guy. And I said you might feel deja vu because we did look at this group very recently, at least the G1 iteration of it. But as well, you may also have a sense of deja vu because this is a reuse, basically a very slight remold, but basically a reuse of the Autobot Race Car Patrol members Swindler and Road Handler. You may also recall that when I done my best and worst figures of 2018, that included Wave 1 of the Siege line, and I said then that the #1 worst figure of the year, in fact, perhaps the worst mold that I had ever encountered in recent memory, was the Swindler mold. I detested it. Absolutely detested it. And I think I may have even said then that I don't want it for Blackjack. I don't want that mold ever again. Well, is Blackjack just as bad or a little bit better? Let's look at Hyperdrive first. And I would be immediately remiss if I didn't do the comparison between the Siege version and the G1 version. A few people probably were hoping to see this when I looked at the G1 team, but I wanted to save it for now. And as you can see, it's quite accurate. Yes, the blue is a different shade, but the dark blue is basically where it should be, although a little bit of it is black on the update instead of dark blue. The yellow is where it should be. The dark blue face is as it should be. And while the original G1 light blue is almost like an aquamarine type of color, the new one sort of has like a baby blue, I suppose. And the gray is, well, gray. Overall, I'd say the Siege has paint apps of 9. 9 if we're going by this as our G1 accuracy. And the reason I say 9 is because we do have some black where we really should have some dark blue. That being said, the Siege one is a reuse of Road Handler. Now, he has a new head and a new chest. I have heard of cases where apparently the new head and new chest isn't there. It's just like a leftover Road Handler toy. And they said, just recolor that. Nobody's gonna notice, man. Nobody's gonna notice. Fans will notice. Fans always notice. So what about the articulation for this guy? Well, I've also heard of instances where the articulation isn't so good here because the tolerances haven't been that great. For my copy of the mold, the arms, they go out about that bar, pretty good. I can't complain about it. They can go all, well, technically they can go all the way around. The hood is a little cumbersome, but not too bad. The legs can go forward on mine. They can go back about that bar. They can go out to the side. I'll right about that bar. We have a very deep knee, obviously because of transformation. But overall, I don't think I can really complain about the guy. I'm going to say that his articulation, for what it is, yes, it'd be nice if he had elbows. I'll say it's a 7. Mine is tolerance. Well, everything moves smoothly. So what about that transformation? Well, here's the really interesting thing. With the G1 version, really you make sure his arms are down by his side, you flip his hood up over his head, and you really just fold up the legs. The Siege version here, on the other hand, you flip the hood up over his head and you put his arms down by his side and you flip the legs up. Oh, that arm does not want to go in. Bring that down. And wait, it's the exact same transformation. At the end of the day, we have a cool Cybertronian sports car, I suppose. I don't know if it's reminiscent of something real. Maybe. I don't know. I do, however, like that we have a little Decepticon logo on the door of the Siege one that we don't have on the G1 version. So I absolutely dig that. Overall, for this set, I like Hyperdrive. The transformation is exactly like G1. If you know the G1, you know this. I said that the G1 transformation was about a 6 or a 7 if you like it. Same thing here, it's a 6 or 7 I guess. It's pretty good. Overall score for this guy, I don't know, let's say he's a 7.75, an 8. Let's be nice. I'm in a good mood. Let's be nice and say he's an 8. What about his partner and the leader of the team, Blackjack? So unlike the 1989 iteration of Blackjack, the 2019 version has been tasked with having a mold that's not that great. Of course, in between 1989 and 2019, we actually had another version of Blackjack come out, the Legends class version. It is basically the chess piece of Menasor. I looked at him in episode 41 a long time ago. It's not good. You can watch it if you want, but it's not good. That being said, I do like the Legends Blackjack mold. I think it's a fun mold. I think it's an interesting transformation. As a matter of fact, I like everything about it. And I may very well keep this as Blackjack. Now, to be fair, when we look at the Siege version here, compared to the G1 version, the Siege version is a pretty faithful recreation, if I'm being honest. This same mold, really, with a little bit of kind of retooling, could be used to give us another member of that team, that being Detour, the yellow Chevy Corvette Indy car. The one with like kind of like the dome roof. So I would kind of prefer, if I'm gonna be tasked with having this mold, give me a Detour, man. It's very faithful to the original G1. I'm going to say the paint apps are again a 9 for the Siege version. About the only thing different is we have a little extra purple on the shoulders that the G1 doesn't have, and the upper thighs are black. The G1 upper thighs are purple. Just so we're clear, I have the idea of repainting this Blackjack into Road Hugger and kind of having the Legends one be Blackjack, then have Hyperdrive be Hyperdrive, and have this version of Blackjack be Road Hugger. Yeah, okay, I get it. It's not exactly correct, but it might be good enough. What about this Blackjack? We already said that his paint is a 9. What about the rest of them? Well, Articulation is next, and it was atrocious on Swindler. Absolutely atrocious. What about on this guy? Well, this time around, the arms can at least go all the way around fairly easily. They don't go around this easily on my copy of Swindler at all. Outward movement, not great. I really wish they could have done something with the like really high, tall shoulders here. That's not great, but at least they move, you know, around a lot easier than on Swindler. The legs, they can go out to the side about there. Nothing to get super excited about. They can go well forward, I dig that. And they can go back about there, roughly. We have a nice deep knee. The articulation is not as good as his partner. I'll say that. It's not as good as his partner, but it's not as bad as Swindler. Things were obviously slightly tweaked here on this copy that makes at least the movements move smoother. That being said, the overall articulation here, it's probably only about a 3.5. Like, from the waist up, it's almost non-existent. From the waist down, it's pretty good. Seeing as how we already have a good Legends class iteration of this character who has excellent articulation, I find this to be extremely lackluster by comparison. What about his transformation? Well, the transformation requires you to, of course, bring the hood up over and fit it in between the shoulders. It fits in between the shoulders so much smoother than it does with Swindler. With Swindler, I almost had to fight to get it in between the shoulders. On this guy, not so much. It goes in pretty easily. Then we take the legs and we fold them up and we get this lovely little black car with gold windows. Or, well, yellow windows. And here he is with the G1 iteration, and I think I like the Siege one a little bit more. A, because it has a little Decepticon logo on the door there, which is great because it helps you keep track of who's Autobot and who's Decepticon. But I think I like the color used for the windows here more than the dark gold used on the G1. The dark gold just doesn't kind of pop as much. That being said, the gold on the Legends class version is very close to the yellow that's on the Siege version. The gold on the Legends class version has a little more sheen and shine to it, so I think I might dig it just a little bit more. Of course, let us not forget that for me personally, I am considering doing a custom repaint of this guy into this guy. And the vehicle modes might be close enough. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do here yet, but I'm certainly considering the idea of doing this. I don't know. What do you guys think? So where do we stand at the end of the day with this set? Well, it's pretty simple. When we look at Hyperdrive, we said he's overall an 8. We said that the coloration on Blackjack was a 9. The articulation on him, it's about a 3.5 because it's not great. But the transformation is way better on this copy of the mold than it was on the Swindler mold. And I'm going to say that the transformation is the average 6.5, 6.5. Overall, I would say that Blackjack is about, he's about a 6 of a figure. He's okay. But I certainly don't think that you need to or should replace your Legends class version with him. If you kind of want him as your Blackjack, that's cool. But if you are kind of thinking, I want to keep my Legends Blackjack, and I don't really want another Blackjack, what can I do with them? Maybe you could do something like I'm doing and, you know, do it as a custom. At the end of the day, we have an 8 and we have a, say, a 6. Overall, this set is about a 7, which honestly, as far as these little Micromaster sets are going, I don't think that is a bad score at all. And here we are once again, and calm down, calm down. I realized I missed a couple of things in the actual review. Fun fact, when I filmed that review, I was actually going on about 4 hours sleep, so I'm lucky I got through it at all. First things first, I neglected to mention that both of these guys also have very nice waist rotations. Their waist can go all the way around, so added articulation, so the articulation is even a little bit better than I thought it was. And this is their combined mode. I didn't show their combined mode because I think this is awful. Don't ever do this. I get it, like, it's cool, they can do it. It's an option if people want it, blah, 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 blah. It just looks ridiculous. Like, I guess it's cool that they could do it. It's nice that they can be, you know, they can go together or they can each be wielded as their own separate blasters. But, like, it doesn't look good. It doesn't even look convincing as a blaster. It just looks like you're holding a half-transformed robot. Or it does to me anyway. If you dig it, cool. I will say this as well. Apparently the, like, feet can accommodate the blast effect, so that's kind of cool. Overall, I think the set is a 7 or an 8, like, as far as these go. Like, it's a fine set, and the Blackjack use of this mold is way better than the Swindler use. Don't get me wrong, it's still not perfect. It's still not my favorite mold by any stretch of the imagination. I still don't think it's good, not in the modern age, when we really should be able to expect better articulation than that. I still think something should have been done to make the ball pegs extend out from the body a little bit, or some such thing. But at least what's there on Blackjack tends to work smoother than it did on Swindler. Maybe it's due to a little bit of mold degradation, and maybe this is one occasion where a little mold degradation is actually a good thing. And let me know what you think about this duo, because I've also heard of issues with poor tolerances, and I've heard of issues where the remolded parts aren't remolded, and this is simply just repainted from Wave 1, that's weird to me. I don't know if they just had spare figures around or what. But let me know what your reaction and what your experience has been with this set. You know I love to hear from you guys. Again, if you're in a position to help the channel, there's a donation link down in the description. Hit the subscribe button. It helps me out so very much. As I always like to say, thanks for dropping by and giving me some of your very valuable time. I do know how important it is to you, and I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams or right here inside the videos.